What's up, you guys? Welcome back and welcome if you're new. In today's video,
we're gonna be installing the 2-in-1 tactical camper by Bynd4x4. I'm Chris, the owner of Bynd4x4, and here with me we have Scott. Scott, you wanna tell a little bit about your shop?
Yep, so I'm Scott with AJC. Got my wife Shauna as well, co-owner. We are an overland shop here in Santa Ana, California.
Scott helps me out with all the installations in Southern California. So if you're purchasing near Southern California, you have the opportunity to get installed by Scott. And in Northern California, you could get it installed by myself in our Sacramento warehouse.
heck yeah, so make sure to stay tuned to today's video. Let's get into it.
One take, baby. We're gonna do a full installation of our 2-in-1 tactical camper. But first, let's go over the pieces that are included when you order the 2-in-1 tactical camper. Included in your camper are gonna be 2 boxes. The first box is gonna be the box with your tent in it, and the other box is gonna be the base. The base includes 2 side panels, a rear panel, and your cab side panel. It's also gonna include a ladder, crossbars, your rooftop panel for when you want to convert it into a camper shell, and your roof rails that will go on top of your camper shell. First step is to take your nuts and bolts. You use a number 5 Allen wrench and then a number 13 millimeter socket to bolt in all of the panels together. Grab this piece, line it up. And what I like to do is I just like to go around and hand tighten everything before I actually tighten it. One thing you'll notice on our bolts is that we actually use nylock nuts so that any vibration in your vehicle will not cause the bolts to loosen out. So you'll notice that we did not put any gasket or butyl tape in between the panels. What we're gonna do is we're actually gonna add a layer of silicone caulking on the outer edge to ensure that your camper is weatherproof. And then before I tighten it up, I'm going to move on to the next side. So all in all, putting the base together and throwing the rooftop tent on takes me about 2 hours. These do come in flat packs, so they'll come in your boxes. So shipping will be available. When you make your order, if you opt to pick it up in Sacramento in our warehouse in Lodi, California, you will receive free installation by myself. But we also have an option for you if you're local to Southern California to pick it up at Aiden James Customs. They charge $375 for installation. All right, so after you hand tight all 4 corners, go ahead and use your power tools to tighten it all the way down. I'm using a number 5 Allen wrench and a 13 millimeter socket. So I'll use the Allen wrench to hold it down and the socket to drill it in. And I usually just go like 2 or 3 dug-a-dugs. You know what I mean? Dug-a-dug. 1, 2, 3. And you're good. This bottom one, it's a little hard to get to, so I actually just use hand tools. And now that we have the base all put together, the next step is going to be caulking. You want to make sure that you caulk now before you put the tent on, because we're going to actually add caulking right here to make sure that no water can seep through. So I like to do it in 3 directional. So we're gonna do 1 here.
1 eternity later.
What you'll notice if you take a look here, we wanna make sure that we are covering any possibility of water intruding. So also included in your kit is gonna be your silicone caulking. If you get this angle up here, so I'm gonna get it right in there. And what I do, take the big side of the ball. I'm actually gonna go back and forth. I want it to really seep through into the hole. So I'm gonna just rub it like so. That's like pushing the silicone into the crack. After this, we'll go through it with 1 nice clean swipe. So we'll push it down here as well so that it gets in. You'll notice I didn't push it down on the top, and I'll show you why. Take a piece of the cardboard. The top, if you use the ball, it's gonna create like a crater. You just use something like a credit card and you're gonna wipe it so. What that's gonna do is it creates a flat layer on top. So when we put the rubber gasket on top of that, it's gonna have a flat layer to sit on, as opposed to having a little divot if you ended up using the ball. This area, it's okay to have the divot. It actually looks a lot cleaner because you are gonna see it from the outside, so you do wanna make sure that it's, you know, really aesthetically pleasing. After letting it dry for about 30 minutes, you can go ahead and take off the tape. Next step is to put the single bulb gasket, and you're gonna lay a line right in front of this hole. So it's gonna prevent water from going this way. So you want it on this side of that hole. Front and back, we're actually gonna use this one, but we're gonna cut it so that we have one bowl. I'll take a measurement, measure the length. So after you get the tent on, now we're gonna take off these caps. This is where your T-bolts are gonna slide through. And these caps makes it that much more difficult for someone to try to steal any of your accessories that you place along the T-bolt. So this will just pop out. And you could slide your T-bolt. The way that it works, now that we place the tent on top of the base, you have a T-slot on the bottom. So a T-bolt's gonna go down and into the base. Now that you've taken off all 4 caps on all the corners, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our T-bolt, and these are gonna slide into the T-slot on the bottom side, and these will go into your cap. And we're gonna just take this little block here to help prop up the tent so that we could slide these on. T-bolts, we also put a rubber washer on there. So on this side, along here, you're gonna have 11 T-bolts, and then you're also gonna have another 11 on the other side, and then you'll have 1, 2, 3 along this side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift this up to place that block under, and then now we'll be able to slide in the T-bolt. Block not included. These are gonna slide in like so. What's gonna happen with the washer, if you remember earlier, you have these bolt holes right here, right? Down till we see our hole. Move on to the next bolt. Don't forget, you have to have a little bit of a gap between the washer and the T-bolt so that it can slide through.
1 hour later.
I left this propped a little bit, but the bolts are still in there. You can see it's still there. But this just allows you to get this guy back in without like pushing the rubber right there. So you want to get over that rubber and then slide that back in. And then you line up those holes there. Next step, so you remember we had all the T-bolts that came through into the base. Now we're gonna take our nylon lock nut, which is a 13 millimeter, our power tool. What I like to do first is to hand tight every single one. And then we're gonna go around and use the power tool.
1 eternity later.
So the best way to do the rubber gasket, and we actually cut triangles out to have it be one smooth transition so that there's no gaps or cracks that will allow water to get in. In the nuts that we're gonna tie the bolt into. Sometimes the bolts that are connected to the rails get in the way. We'll see if it does get in the way this time. So the next step in the installation process is Scott's actually going to use the forklift to place it on. Once it's placed on, we'll bolt it down. We can throw these guys in. And I always like to hand tight before I use the power tools to make sure that we're not threading anything. So for the hardware on the installation of the camper, you're gonna have 6 bolts that are gonna go on each side, so 12, and then you'll have 2 on the cab side. And then we're also going to be tying into these screws here, one here and one there. And so extra secure. Similar to like when you install your bead lock, once you go around one time, the other bolts, once it settles down, you want to make sure that everything's tight. So one thing on these campers is that we're actually going to utilize this bolt here. Typically people are utilizing it for bed stiffeners, but we can also still utilize it. So we have an additional bracket that will tie this in vertically so that there's no possibility of your camper sliding off. What you're gonna do to attach these brackets, your nut will go on like so, and then you'll take the stock screw and it'll go right in. This particular bed stiffener has a wall here that's preventing us from doing that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this bed stiffener off and we're gonna place it on the back side of it, and that will tie it all together. So one thing that you'll actually notice is that we had the rear hatch off. The reason why we do that is so that we can utilize the forklift. We have this on and the forks wouldn't go in as smoothly with this on.
All right, you guys, so now that we finished up with the installation, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Heck yeah.
What's all the noise down here?
Oh, damn. Hey,
Scott, what are you? I thought you were doing the installations. What are you doing sleeping?
Run!
man. You know what, you guys? I'm gonna go try it out. Peace.
JesseRizo is here for you. It's here for you, now. Like I said, it's super simple. Please feel free to subscribe.